Starting off strong as a worthy rival to Mario, having some less than stellar outings with a few rough spells in the middle years, and returning back to form recently, Sonic the Hedgehog has had a colourful history. Growing up, I was a Sega kid, and still am. Well, not the kid part, but you know what I mean. They've been some of my favourite games growing up, so I thought it was about time that I started looking back through the history of the games, starting with the original, Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive. Sonic the Hedgehog for the Mega Drive was released in 1991 and met with critical praise and commercial success. Instantly becoming Sega's new mascot and being marketed as the contender to Mario's crown, the Blue Hedgehog had not only fast-paced gameplay, but that 90s attitude that was in at the time. The story set the ongoing confrontation between Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman. Seeing his friends in danger, Sonic sets out across 6 zones, all while collecting rings, busting badniks to free his comrades, and hunting for the emeralds, all which will lead to the final battle with the Mad Doctor himself. So whilst the story wasn't exactly anything new, the gameplay was. As per Sega's marketing about blast processing, Sonic's gameplay was quick and fast paced and was the main selling point of the game. From loops to ramps and even power-ups to make you go even faster, Sonic's speed is what set itself apart from the competition. Bright big sprites with plenty of colours, detailed stages and little touches like the weighting of balancing poses all made for a new experience to show what Sega could do with their 16-bit console. Super Mario World may have been released before this, but it lacked the fast action that Sonic had, and playing that first stage as a kid really grasped my attention. So it's a shame that after that first brilliant zone, that you have to slow down and go through Marble Zone, where jumping and patience mean you don't get set on fire or squashed by moving pillars. On one hand, it's a good design choice, as it teaches you that sometimes you just have to take it slow and make precise jumps if you want to continue through the game. On the other, it's frustrating that Sonic's main gameplay shtick is completely thrown away in favour of level design, something that the later games, for better or worse, tried to do much less of and keep the emphasis on speed. This back and forth between the fast-paced levels and slow-paced levels does add variety and length to the game, but it is one of my least favourite aspects of the game. Whilst you go about each act, if you manage to collect 50 rings or more, with 100 leading into an extra life, and make it to the end of the level, you can enter the special stage. It's here where you have a chance to obtain one of the Chaos Emeralds by navigating a spinning maze, or whilst collecting more rings and avoiding bumper and stage-ending goal areas. While not necessary to completing the game, it does give you a slightly different ending, and leaves Robotnik throwing a tantrum as he's been fully defeated. These are fun the first time and do make a nice change to the gameplay, but unfortunately it can be incredibly frustrating even when you get to grips with how Sonic controls in them. Plus it's just another time when the speed takes a dramatic dive. Thankfully, even when the pace grinds to a halt, there's the brilliant soundtrack blasting out the game. Not everyone is a fan of the music chip on the Mega Drive, especially when you compare it to games that are shared with the Super Nintendo, where they tend to sound a lot worse, but Sonic's soundtrack has some absolute bangers. Green Hill Zone is an instantly recognisable tune, as is the opening theme, with the end credits medley being my personal favourite out of the bunch. One thing that clearly stands out is the cheats, or more specifically the debug code. The level select code will be forever imprinted into my brain, but the debug code is where you can make complete nonsense happen. Allowing you to drop rings, TVs, enemies and even background sprites wherever you like to your heart's content was something I'd never seen in a game at that time. Even after, only games on PC really gave you the ability to mod a game inside it. And as with most of the groundwork laid out in Sonic 1, these cheats would carry over to the sequels. Overall, Sonic 1 was a fresh spin on the platforming genre, and helped cement Sega and Sonic as clear challengers to Nintendo and Mario. It started my lifelong obsession with Sonic the Hedgehog, which included playing, collecting and watching pretty much anything he was attached to. Sonic Underground sucks. There are many games I grew up playing, but none of them had such a big impact on them at a young age. And although I have my negative opinions when the pace drops and the awkward controlling as a special stage, it's still a great game. You can find Sonic 1 on nearly everything these days, from Sega game collections to handhelds and mobile phones. It also did have a Game Gear and a Master System port, which were, playable, but compared to the Mega Drive's versions, missed the mark in a few areas, so I might show those off in the future. It's also relatively short, and with a low learning curve, I'd recommend it to introduce to younger gamers, because when compared to earlier Mario games, they can require more dexterity and reactions in the later levels. But that's just my opinion, and it's probably quite biased due to my devotion to the franchise. But what's your take on it? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to thumbs up the video and subscribe for future updates on videos I put out. Now with the original out of the way, next is arguably one of the best in the series and one of my personal favourite games of all time. But I'll leave you guessing as to what that could be. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. Thank you for watching and have a good gaming day.